This century has brought a variety of new entertainment media, movies, radio, and television. As we move into the new century, the newest entertainment media is evolving on the computer internet. In the second of his three-part series, business trends analyst Joel Kotkin focuses on the entrepreneurs creating the new computer-based media.
Welcome to Silent Factory, the podcast where we delve into the fascinating world of music and uncover the stories behind our favorite albums. I'm your host, Leo, and I'm coming to you from our studios here in the heart of Brooklyn, New York. Today we're going to be talking about David Bowie's groundbreaking 1995 album, Outside. Outside is an album that's always been close to my heart. From the opening notes of Leon Takes Us Outside to the closing strains of The Motel, the album takes you on a journey through a dark and twisted world that's equal parts beautiful and unsettling. But before we dive into the music, let's take a look at the background and inspiration behind the album. 1995 was a year that saw many genres and styles competing for attention and popularity. In Britain, Britpop was at its peak, with bands like Blur, Oasis, Pulp, and Suede releasing some of their most iconic albums and singles. The rivalry between Blur and Oasis reached its climax when they released their singles Country House and Roll With It on the same day, sparking a media frenzy that divided fans and critics. In America, alternative rock was still dominant, with bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Green Day, and Smashing Pumpkins leading the charts. Smashing Pumpkins released their double album, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, which was hailed as one of the best albums of the decade by many critics. Other notable rock albums of 1995 include Foo Fighters' self-titled debut, Radiohead's The Bends, and Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, which sold over 33 million copies worldwide. Hip-hop also had a strong presence in 1995, with artists like Tupac Shakur, the Notorious B.I.G., Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Wu-Tang Clan releasing some of their most influential songs and albums. Tupac Shakur released his third album, Me Against the World, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 while he was in prison for sexual assault charges. He also recorded his fourth album, All Eyes on Me, which would be released posthumously after his death in 1996. The most successful song of 1995 was Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio featuring LV, which topped the charts in many countries and won a Grammy Award for Best Rap Solo Performance. The song was featured on the soundtrack of the film Dangerous Minds, starring Michelle Pfeiffer, as a teacher who tries to help troubled students in an inner-city school. Other popular genres of music in 1995 include dance music, R&B, country music, and pop music. Some of the artists who had hit songs or albums in these genres include Madonna, Take a Bow, Mariah Carey, Fantasy, TLC, Waterfalls, Whitney Houston, Exhale, Shania Twain, The Woman in Me, Garth Brooks, The Hits. David Bowie had taken a break from the music industry in the early 1990s, and it wasn't until 1993 that he returned to the scene with his album Black Tie, White Noise. The album was a commercial success, but it didn't receive universal critical acclaim. It was then that Bowie began toying with the idea of creating a concept album that would be a departure from his previous work and explore new themes. In 1994, Bowie began working on what would eventually become Outside. He collaborated with Brian Eno, who he had worked with previously on albums like Low and Heroes. Bowie was also heavily influenced by the work of artists like Nine Inch Nails, and he wanted to create an album that was dark and brooding with a heavy industrial sound. The album is set in a dystopian future, and the story follows the character of Nathan Adler, a detective who's investigating a series of gruesome murders. The album was heavily inspired by the concept of art murder, a term coined by artist and writer Nicholas Burio, which refers to the act of creating something new out of something old. Bowie also drew inspiration from the world of performance art and the avant-garde. The album features several spoken-word interludes, including one by artist and performer Diamanda Gallas. It also features collaborations with other artists, including guitarist Reeves Gabrels, who would go on to work with Bowie on some other projects. As you can see, there's a lot of background and inspiration behind this album. But ultimately, it's the music that speaks for itself. Bowie's vocals are as powerful and emotive as ever, and the instrumentation is both atmospheric and intense. Bowie and Brian Eno started working on the album in late 1993, sending each other ideas. Reeves Gabrels, Bowie's Tin Machine bandmate, described one of these ideas as the equivalent of a mathematical problem. The ideas they formed harked back to Bowie's musical findings during his first trip to America in early 1971, according to author Paul Trinka. To find inspiration for the album, Bowie and Eno visited the Gugging Psychiatric Hospital near Vienna, Austria, in January 1994. They were particularly interested in a wing of the hospital that featured outsider art created by the patients. Bowie later told Interview magazine that some of them don't even do their art as an expression of themselves. They do it because their work is them. This experience gave the upcoming album its title, Outside. Bowie was also fascinated by the Minotaur, a mythical figure from classical antiquity. He painted the figure throughout the early 1990s, and after seeing a New York Times article discussing it, incorporated it as a motif for Outside. Bowie's fascination with contemporary art grew to the point where he joined the editorial board of Modern Painters magazine in 1994. His interest in performance artists such as Rudolf Schwarzkogler, Ron Athey, Chris Burden, and Damien Hirst influenced the new album's concept. Bowie spoke to Vox magazine about the concept of death as art, saying it's like a replacement for a spiritual starvation that's going on, and like a tribe with dim memories of what their rituals used to be. The Heart's Filthy Lesson is one of the album's standout tracks. It features a driving rhythm section and a chorus that's both catchy and unsettling. The song's lyrics touch on themes of violence and obsession, and the production incorporates found sounds and industrial textures. A Small Plot of Land is a haunting ballad that showcases Bowie's incredible vocal range. The song's sparse instrumentation leaves plenty of room for Bowie's vocals to shine, and the lyrics explore themes of identity and mortality. Outside is an album that rewards repeat listens. Its dense, layered production and intricate song structures reveal new details with each listen. While the album may not have been a commercial success upon its release, it has since become a cult favorite among Bowie fans and stands as one of his most adventurous and challenging works. We've come to the end of today's Silent Factory episode. We appreciate you joining us on our journey through David Bowie's Outside. Next time, we'll be delving deeper into the production and recording sessions. Don't forget to keep listening.